Diving into the next question, implementation timeline. You mentioned they're doing a 25 license pilot and such. What did that whole process look like from start to finish?
Okay, good question. So, when we did the 25, as I mentioned earlier, summer sessions in my opinion, is always the best time to test out any sort of new accommodation option you'll choose, you're interested in, because there's a lot less pressure. Summer sessions, aren't as intense either. And there's a lot more just downtime to be able to, collect data. So what we did was, we did the 25 license pilot through our 3 month summer session from about end of May to early August. And then, after, having a meeting with a lot of the students, we, we actually did we increased the formal licenses to about 50 for that fall semester. And then we coordinating with our disability specialist team, letting them know, hey, there's a new technology option. You know, when you receive students that, this would be an appropriate, use for, go ahead and refer them over. And then from there, we were able to get those students set up. And then, as more students continue, either join our program, become active, or existing students say, I'm frustrated with my peer notes, we would say, well, we have a new technology option. Would you like to try it? And then this just kind of, it was kind of like a snowball effect, but a good snowball effect.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, though. I mean, were there any unexpected challenges that came up? Were there any roadblocks that happened along the way?
Yeah, I would say most of the roadblocks back then were related more toward the technology devices at the time.
Mm.
Like this is like, back in the sun, we had Sonocent, it's 2015, 2016. The built-in hardware, like standards were all over the place. So
Yeah,
some students would have to borrow like a external microphone because their basic, laptop couldn't pick it up.
yeah.
And then other students would have technical glitches. So, and then, at the time, recording technology was decent, but it's not as good as it's reached like nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the adoption standpoint, do you have any information you can share around utilization? Like, how well was it? How much was it used? Was it used well by students? Was there anything from them at all?
Yeah, the feedback I got back then was that, students, most of our students, UC Berkeley students, they tend to just record, if they have an accommodation, they will like go all in on using it, and
Yeah.
they will just record everything, every single class. I think, our account manager ran a report for us. We had something like 30,000 hours of trying to record. It was this humongous number about how much recording. And I've
Yeah.
seen similar usage with, all sorts of accommodations. Our students, they'll just generally record everything because the number one, question concern I get, I can't keep up with my classes. So students know that they hit that record, they have the peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. Someone, Emma in our marketing team earlier today shared an article, and it was about the growing concern of the number of students with accommodations that weren't using them, like just weren't using their accommodations for whatever reason. And I wonder how much of that still is around awareness. It sounds amazing at UC Berkeley that students are comfortable, confident, and
Mm-hmm.
willing to do it. I mean, I have a chronic bowel disease. I wasn't even aware that I could get support for note taking or lecture capture or anything like that, and I missed so much information. So I think there is still an element of that as well. So it's great to hear that your students are aware and you're getting the supports that they need to. Um,
Yeah, and I'll add, Mace, real quick, that with the peer notes, the utilization rate was definitely not as good. Obviously, we had some students that would read every single set of notes, but I think a lot of students just kind of they didn't realize what goes into providing peer notes, and so our system we use could actually give us utilization data, and it would say this student hasn't looked at a single set of notes in a year.
oh well, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a waste of everyone's time, really, isn't it? I suppose when you look at it like that, you
Yeah.
want everyone to
So
see.
by giving students like technology, it engages them. They have to go and push the record button.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.